respected Marshal Kim Jong Un made a New Year address on the occasion of the New Year Juche 103 or 2014. Kim Jong Un said last year was a proud year in which the entire party, the whole army and all the people waged an all-out offensive in support of the party's new line of developing the two fronts simultaneously, and thus achieved brilliant successes in building a thriving socialist country and defending socialism, and continued. Last year, our service personnel and people firmly rallied behind the party, exalted the brilliance of the ideas and cause of the great President Kim Il-sung and General Kim Jong-il, and strengthened the political and ideological might of our revolutionary ranks all the more. Through the political events held in celebration of the 65th anniversary of the founding of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the 60th anniversary of victory in the Fatherland Liberation War, and in the whole course of last year's struggle, they demonstrated their firm faith and will in holding the President and the General in high esteem and carrying forward their imperishable exploits to posterity. Our party's policies of respecting the people and loving them, and the people's hearty loyalty of trusting and following the party as they would do their mothers, have become integrated, and thus the blood-sealed ties between them have reached a new higher stage. As our party detected and purged the anti-party counter-revolutionary factionalists, the party and revolutionary ranks were further consolidated, and our single-hearted unity was solidified to the maximum. Last year, we consolidated our capabilities for self-defense and achieved a brilliant victory in the acute showdown with the imperialists. Though the circumstances were harsh and complicated last year, our service personnel and people, by pooling their efforts, achieved great successes in the struggle to build their country into an economic giant and improve the people's standard of living. An upsurge was brought about in production in several sectors and units of the national economy, and the foundations of the self-supporting economy were further consolidated. The officials and working people in the agricultural sector in particular made innovations in production even under difficult conditions and unfavorable natural climate, and thus contributed to improving the people's standard of living. The service personnel and other builders set up numerous monumental structures for the prosperity of their country and well-being of their fellow people, and ushered in a heyday of construction. A strong wind of conducting sports swept the country, and our sports people won gold medals in international competitions, and thus highly exalted the honor of their motherland. Preparations for enforcing a universal 12-year compulsory education were successfully promoted, many achievements made in the sector of science and technology, and up-to-date medical facilities introduced for the improvement of medical services for the people. The sector of musical art created many famous works of our times, inspiring loyalty in all the service personnel and people, and encouraging them to wage a dynamic struggle and perform great feats. The shining victories and successes we achieved last year can be ascribed to the fact that the entire party, the whole army and all the people, in support of the revolutionary and people-oriented lines and policies of our party and its wise leadership, waged a heroic struggle with an indomitable faith and will to build a thriving socialist country without fail. Kim Jong-un put forth the tasks on opening the period of great prosperity in the revolution and construction this year. He went on to say, "Let us raise a fierce wind of making a fresh leap forward on all fronts of building a thriving country filled with confidence in victory. This is the militant slogan our party and people should uphold this year." This year, we should ensure that the sectors of agriculture, construction and science and technology hold a touch of innovations in the van, and the flames of the torch flare up as flames of a leap forward on all fronts of socialist construction. We should clearly prove the validity and vitality of the thesis on the socialist rural question by waging the ideological, technological and cultural revolutions dynamically in the rural areas and bringing about a decisive turn in agricultural production. We should set up world-class structures representative of the Sungun era and build many other structures that could contribute to improving the people's living conditions, thus laying firm foundations of the self-supporting economy and providing the people with conditions for a more affluent and civilized life. We should open a shortcut to the building of a knowledge-based economy by solving the long-term problems in developing the country's economy and improving the people's standard of living, as well as scientific and technological problems arising in the actual situation, and by going beyond the cutting edge. It is necessary to supply sufficient amounts of steel and various kinds of chemical goods that are needed to re-energize the national economy as a whole and improve the people's standard of living. The electric power and coal mining industries and the rail transport sector should make coordinated innovations and thus give a strong impetus to the development of the national economy. By stepping up modernization of and introduction of CNC technology into their production lines and increasing the proportion of locally available raw and other materials, light industry factories should put production on a normal footing. And all cities and counties should produce various kinds of quality consumer goods in larger amounts by developing local industry in conformity with their specific conditions. By modernizing fishing vessels and implements and launching a dynamic fishing campaign by scientific methods, the state should ensure that all ports resound with whistles of vessels returning with full loads. It should also conduct shallow sea farming on an extensive scale. We should protect and increase the country's priceless natural resources, including underground, forest and marine resources, and conduct an energetic mass-based tree planting drive to cover all the mountains with thick forests. All the sectors of the national economy should increase production and at the same time launch a brisk economization campaign. We should decisively improve the guidance and management of the economy. We should make a big stride in the construction of culture, including education. The sector of education should improve the content, methods, conditions and environment of education as required by the revolution and developing times, and bring about a fresh turn in education, including secondary general education. By putting efforts to medical treatment and preventive medicine for promoting the people's health, the public health sector should ensure that the benefits of socialist healthcare system reach the people more closely. The sector of art and literature should produce large numbers of masterpieces of the times, which are high in ideological and artistic qualities and touch the heartstrings of the audience, keeping step with the advance of our revolution and vibrant realities. We should raise more fiercely the strong wind of conducting sports throughout the country. We should encourage sports people to intensify training with a high ambition to become world champions, and splendidly implement the party's plan of building our country into a sports power by developing sports science and technology and implementing the policy of making sports mass-based. We should continue to channel great efforts into building up the country's defense capabilities. Strengthening defense capabilities is the most important of all state affairs, and the country's dignity, people's happiness and peace rest on powerful arms. We should further develop the People's Army into the powerful revolutionary army of Baek Do-san that is unfailingly faithful to the party, the leader, the country and the people. We should make all the company's elite combat ranks fully prepared politically and ideologically, militarily and technologically, and their dear homes overflowing with brotherly affection. We should train the service personnel to be strong in ideology and faith and ready to defend the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun and the Party Central Committee unto death. They should intensify combat training and launch a brisk movement for becoming crack shots so as to prepare themselves to be a match for 100 combatants with excellent marksmanship, strong physique, and high sense of discipline. The Korean People's Internal Security Forces should creditably discharge its noble mission and duty of defending the leader, system, and people by thoroughly establishing the party's command system and revolutionary military climate in it, and the work of Peasant Red Guards should intensify combat training and remain fully ready for action at all times. The sector of defense industry should manufacture larger numbers of modern military hardware of our own style that are light, unmanned, intelligent, and of high precision to solidify the self-defense capabilities. We should further consolidate the political and ideological position of our revolution. The political and ideological position is a fortress that decides the victory and failure in the battle of defending socialism, and consolidating the revolutionary ranks politically and ideologically is the most important task facing us. We should solidify the party organizationally and ideologically, train all the members of society to be equipped with Kim Il-sungism, Kim Jong-ilism, and cement the single-hearted unity of the revolutionary ranks. It is imperative to establish the monolithic leadership system in the party, definitely ensure the purity of party ranks, and improve the militant functions and role of party organizations. We should ensure that officials, party members, and other working people think and act at all times and in all places in line with the party's ideas and intentions, with a steadfast faith that they know only the great comrades Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il and our party. We should ensure that they approach with political awareness even the slightest phenomenon and element that infringe on the unity of the party and revolutionary ranks and undermine their single-hearted unity. They should wage a vigorous struggle to stamp out any sort of alien ideology and decadent lifestyle which may undermine our system and thus resolutely smash the enemy's schemes for ideological and cultural infiltration. In order to make the flames of a leap forward flare up on all fronts of building a thriving socialist country, it is crucial to give fullest play to the mental strength of the masses. The greatest potential for creation and innovation, the fundamental key to miraculous change, lies in giving play to the mental strength of all the service personnel and people. All party members and other working people should make Kim Jong-il's patriotism part of their mental qualities and apply it in practice, and thus become performers of heroic feats in the worthwhile struggle to build theirs into a socialist country, powerful and civilized. All sectors and all units should carry out to the letter the policies of the party and the laws, decisions and directives of the state, and encourage the officials and working people alike to observe laws, regulations and order with full awareness of being masters of our society and citizens of the DPRK. Kim Jong Un referred to the issues of national reunification and foreign relations. True to the behests of the great generalissimos Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, we should make fresh headway in the national reunification movement this year. To resolve the reunification issue in keeping with the aspirations and desires of our fellow countrymen, we should reject foreign forces and hold fast to the standpoint of by our nation itself. The North and the South should uphold the principle of independence, which is one of the three principles for national reunification and has been confirmed in the North-South joint declarations, hold fast to the standpoint of by our nation itself, and respect and implement the declarations with sincerity. The US and South Korean war maniacs have deployed legions of equipment for a nuclear war in and around the Korean peninsula, and are going frantic in their military exercises for a nuclear war against the North. This precipitates a critical situation where any accidental military skirmish may lead to an all-out war. Should another war break out on this land, it will result in a deadly nuclear catastrophe, and the United States will never be safe. All the Korean people must not tolerate the maneuvers for war and confrontation by the bellicose forces at home and abroad, but stoutly resist and frustrate them. A favorable climate should be established for improved relations between the North and the South. It is high time to put an end to such slander and calumny that bring no good to both sides, and they should desist from doing anything detrimental to national unity and reconciliation. We will join hands with anyone who opts to give priority to the nation and wishes for its reunification, regardless of his or her past, and continue to strive for better inter-Korean relations. All the Korean people in the North, in the South, and abroad should achieve solid unity under the truly patriotic banner, the principle of by our nation itself, and turn out in the nationwide struggle for the reunification of the country. By doing so, they should open up a new phase for independent reunification, peace and prosperity this year. We can never just sit back with folded arms and see the dark clouds of a nuclear war against us hovering over the Korean peninsula. We will defend the sovereignty and peace of the country and the dignity of the nation by relying on our powerful self-defensive strength. Holding fast to the ideals of our foreign policy, independence, peace and friendship, Our party and the government of the DPRK will in the future too strive to expand and develop relations of friendship and cooperation with all the countries that respect our sovereignty, Kim Jong Un said.